Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's Versal community session. My name is Pauline, and I am one of your moderators today. And joining me is Jacob. You may have seen us floating around in the Versal community platform over at community.versal.com. So it's always really fun having the opportunity to jump here and talk to our community, talk to our customers, and also share what we're building at Vercel. For today's session, I'm really excited that we're having a special community member to talk through his project. But before that, if you are new to the Vercel community live sessions, we actually host these in our platform at community.versal.com. So if you want to join in with a live chat, make sure you join the community and then find this. This should be a banner. Find this and click on it and then click on going. And that should unlock the chat on the right-hand side. And yeah, if you are tuning in from Twitter or X, you can also write and talk to us directly from the tweet. But we would love you to join our community as well.
Yeah, if you're going to hang out in the chat, please remember to be respectful and to follow our code of conduct. And I'd like to introduce our guest today, Isa from Databuddy.
Hey,
hello,
Isa.
everybody. Hello, how are you doing, Pauline? Hi, Jacob.
Hi,
We're doing good. We're doing good. I have to say, I'm really excited about this. And for some reason, like my X notifications have been blowing up because we've been tagged and, hyping up this session. So it's really great to see you. I just have to start though, before we kick off with your demo and presentation. Is this the first time you're doing a live session? Is this a big face reveal for people?
Not the first face reveal, but yeah, it's the first time I've gone live like this. So it's definitely a kind of reveal in a way. Yeah.
Amazing.
Super excited to be here though.
Yeah, it's great to have you. Okay, without further ado, we'll let you kick off.
All right, sweet. Thank you for the intro. And my name is Isa. I'm the CEO and founder of Databuddy. And this is what I want to present to you. So a little bit of background. I'm a data scientist and full stack engineer. And I used to work at a startup a few months ago. And while working there, I realized one of the requirements was to add analytics. And going through all of the existing platforms and solutions, I realized that there is nothing that really fit our needs because we are a very privacy-focused organization at that point. It was a social media focused on preserving legacy. So going through all of the existing platforms, I noticed there was a big gap in the market. And not just that, I noticed that developers couldn't really just easily add all of these things. So that's why Databuddy began to exist. That's where I got the idea. So there's a few different issues that the existing tools have. They're mostly very complex. They're slow, expensive, and confusing. Like when you think of, if you want to add analytics, there's Google Analytics, extremely complex. If you want to add it, there's PostHog as well. And then for things like Google Analytics also, there's very, very, very slow. So you don't really get real-time data. And more often than not, you just get left in the past with data from days ago. And with other platforms, they can get very expensive, the ones that focus more on enterprise. And that also introduces another problem, which I'll tell you later as well. And they're very confusing. A lot of you have probably used PostHog, you have used Google Analytics, and I've also verified this with a lot of people who do use Databuddy in production. And they all say it's miles ahead of anything just because of how easy it is to use compared to all these confusing dashboards. I would say that complexity of those platforms is what kills velocity in a lot of small startups currently, especially with the startups now being a lot more AI enabled and smaller teams actually taking up all these startups. And you notice that in most of these startups, you spend a lot more time just trying to add analytics than you should have to, and adding a lot of things. You would need to use 4 to 5 different platforms just to get the same results that you need that you could maybe get out of one platform. PostHog tries to do this, but I think personally it's way too confusing for most teams to consider it. And you just end up with fragmented data, slower development cycles, inconsistent data, and it's a lot lower ROI. They juggle too many tools just because of how many different things they need to use, like Google and Plausible just for web traffic, then Mixpanel, Amplitude, PostHog for product analytics. You'd maybe use PostHog or LaunchDarkly for feature flags, and then you still have to use another platform for errors and logs, and then yet another platform just put all that together and do some reports on that. So Databuddy will essentially just let you get rid of all of those and basically lose all of the complexity and the extra cost. That is the core idea of why I'm building Databuddy. I wanted to enable people to do everything they're already doing, but a lot faster, cheaper, and simpler. There's also one major issue. A lot of those platforms, they don't really care about privacy as much. So when you think about the more US-based ones, they don't really have to deal with GDPR, and essentially they just forget about it. Unless you use the EU version of most of these tools, but it's very hacky, and most of the time it's not built from the foundation for privacy. So data privacy isn't optional, it is the law, and a lot of people do get fined a lot of money for this. Like Meta paid an almost 1.2 billion euro fine, Amazon almost 800 million euro. So this is an issue that plagues three people or three different roles within a startup. It plagues the lawyers, where they have to actively deal with cookie consent banners. They have to deal with the fines, the compliance, where the data goes, how they handle it, data deletion requests, and so many things that you would probably click off the stream if I kept going on about them. Nobody likes the law. This is why you have to just steer clear from it. It also hurts your marketing team. When you have poor consent design for cookie consent banners, for example, that gives you a 15 to 30% drop in conversion. It's a lot more incomplete, and it basically just breaks your attribution and return on investment measurements just because you can't really see the users who came in. If they're blocking cookies, then they just drop off your analytics for the most part. And marketing needs reliable and compliant analytics. That way they get the full picture. And the last part, which maybe most of you are, is for developers. A lot of you know how much of a headache it is to, add cookie consent banners, wire all the analytics up, get all the flows and everything like that. And it really adds up once you need to add more features, which is also why you use a lot of platforms, like I said, for feature flags, for a bunch of different things. So developers, they just waste too much time having to learn multiple different platforms and wiring all of those together. And it could be a lot simpler. So what does Databuddy do? Essentially, it's the solution to this, where it does everything that you would want it to, but also it basically adds all of those platforms together without breaking the simplicity and ease of use. Um, so the very basics, web analytics. So you can drop off Plausible, add Databuddy, and you would not even notice a difference. If at all, you would just get an upgrade. And that was the first milestone, actually. When I created Databuddy, this was the first milestone. Make Plausible, make it better, add more data without breaking the privacy foundation. And after that, we dive into product analytics, where you get funnels, goals, profiles, sessions, and errors, all while still having complete user anonymization. So you never have to deal with data deletion requests or cookie consent banners or anything like that. And the final thing, which I think is the most valuable thing that a lot of startups are looking for, like when you add analytics, cool, you want to see some numbers, but more than anything else, you just want to see insights. You want to see the answers that those numbers are leading to, which is where we get to insights. So insights essentially is when you set feature flags, A/B tests, so you see how things and features that you roll out actually perform. We also have our own Databuddy agent, which essentially is, instead of just being another dashboard or chatbot where you talk to AI, it behaves more like your own data analyst. So it's more of like a teammate than just a chatbot. And it would be able to create dashboards for you, create funnels, tell you what to do, explain your data to you. And there's a great analogy I like to use for this is the way ChatGPT was really popular when it first came out. The reason for that was because ChatGPT, there was LLMs way before ChatGPT, but the way it got it so popular is because it made it really easy to break, like it broke the barrier to entry pretty much. Even if you didn't know what to ask, you could just explain what your problem was, and it would both solve it and tell you what the question you want is and how to do it. And I think that's the same thing that I'm aiming for with Databuddy, which you just ask it, basically tell it what you want to know. Even if you don't really know how to explain it, it would be able to give you the answer and also tell you how it got that. And that way you learn as you go, and it helps you save hours of time compiling data and making dashboards. We're also adding LLM analytics, which I think is going to be in partnership with Vercel's AI SDK as well. Like I have a close friend in the AI SDK team, Josh. He's been great for this, and also another one who may be getting hired by Vercel. So that's pretty cool. I know a lot of platforms already have LM analytics, and this is going to be a much lower level version of that. We also have automated reports, which ties directly into Databuddy. So a lot of you might know if you use Looker on a bunch of these different platforms where it ties all the data together, this essentially behaves like that, and it just automatically sends it to your email or wherever you want it to, whenever you want that. So how does Databuddy work, and what is the privacy foundation of it? Essentially, once you add the tracking script, it's basically like all other tracking systems, just like Plausible. You put in a script, it sends all the requests to our API, it gets a hashed rotated salt, and then through that, it anonymizes the user's ID. So even if a user comes through after 24 hours, they look like a completely different user, which is how one of the steps that we take to ensure complete user anonymization. And then it just added to our ClickHouse database, and that's how you interact with it on the dashboard. So what is the future of analytics, do I think? I think that analytics have been the same for a very, very long time. You just create a dashboard, you add the script, you see how many visitors, you add your funnels, and it's always been a very time-consuming task, especially when you have 4 to 5 different platforms and all of them do different things. It's always been very tedious to compile all the data. So the solution is Databuddy, which just behaves as your own data analyst. So like I mentioned before, it would compile all your data, your answers in seconds, just as you ask it. It would be able to create dashboards, charts, reports, and basically show you all the data you need, and also make dashboards that operate and do all of those for you. It will also send you all the important insights, like let's say you're having increased error rates or a lot of users are dropping off on a page, it would just email that to you or send it to Slack or whatever. And you wouldn't even have to look into your data to see that people are dropping off. It would just tell you that before it even happens. And essentially just using natural language to speed up and empower you as a business owner or marketing team, or even as a developer to basically do the same thing in like 10 times less time, essentially, and save yourself a lot of effort. And that's about it in terms of the presentation. So if you want to contact me or learn more about Databuddy, you can go to databuddy.cc, or you can scan the QR code to book a meeting with me. But also, I do have a live demo to show. I'm not sure if now is the correct time or if there's any questions before the live demo.
Yeah,
Then
we should jump straight into the live demo, actually, if
all
we
right,
can.
sweet. Let me see if I can do that. All right, we have.
Whilst you're doing that, I just want to say there's a lot of love in the chat for Databuddy, so this is great.
I wish I could see the chat because that would be very neat.
We don't want to distract you from all the amazing chatter and feedback. We'll definitely share that. I want to say thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and thank you for all of the comments. We will have space for questions, so definitely start dropping them in the chat. I can see that you've shared your screen. We will get off stage whilst you do your demo.
Sweet. Yeah, it's a very basic demo. So essentially, this is the very heart of the Databuddy dashboard. This is where you add all of your websites. I have my 2 main websites, 2 testing ones, where you can just see if you don't have it set up, it just tells you how to set it up. You can configure everything you want to track. And it's very, very basic and easy to get into. I have a easy to use sidebar, so you know everything is like 1 to 2 clicks away. But this is the meat of the demo. This is the dashboard. So essentially, you see all of the same information that you would get using, let's say, Plausible, PostHog, everything. But you get it in a very clean dashboard, I would say, and a lot of my users have said, so it's not just me thinking that. But I also think it looks beautiful, and you might notice I'm using light mode because I just prefer that. So we can see all the way up to today, and the 25th is not finished yet, but there's been a big increase in traffic just because of how much I've been posting, and I've got a lot of stuff going on. So you can see all of your refers, UTMs, your entry exit pages, how much time people spend on each page. You can easily check your custom events, where people go, what they do, check basically anything that you might need. and it is very simple to just get into. You can also see browser versions, can see screen resolution sizes. We've got performance tracking as well. This is going to get a big overhaul, but people seem to like tracking their, um, you know, performance and web vitals because this is very important for your business. It's not as accurate as it could be yet, but that is getting an upgrade soon. So we've also got, you can track sessions, but it's fully anonymized, so you never get to see who the user is, which has been a pain point for some users. But I would say if you're looking to identify users, this wouldn't be the platform for you. You can easily see where your visitors are from, the easy map. You can also see any error trends, if there's any error activity going on. You can also see stack traces and be able to easily fix that. We have funnels, so you can see any conversion rates you might need. One of the coolest features I think that I've added is we have autocomplete to this, which makes it a lot easier to just add funnels based on your actual pages and also custom events. That way you don't really need to worry about, am I typing it right? Am I typing it wrong? And also the same for filters. So you're able to create a funnel in minutes and then just see that whenever you need. We also have the same thing for goals, essentially. And the latest feature that I added is actually feature flags. Essentially, you would just create a feature flag here, and then you would put that in code, and you'd be able to roll out features very easily. Like, for example, here, this is a feature flag, which is a 50% rollout. So half of the users that come to this page will see red team, and half of them will see blue team. And, I think it's a cool place to just put a little Easter egg. And then we have Databuddy AI, which is currently having a massive revamp, but you can ask it basic questions currently, like show me my page views over the last 7 days, and it'll create a nice little chart for you where you can see your data. And this is the very basic, simple version of it, but there will be a lot more in-depth version later on where you'd be able to ask basically anything, like compare paid versus organic traffic over the last 3 months, blah, 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 basically anything you need. And then it would be able to answer that. And we've got a lot more stuff coming up. Like we've got observability and database monitoring, and this is empowered by Neon. And yeah, we're also going to add LLM analytics here, like I said, with AI SDK, which is a pretty cool feature, I think. It's also going to tie directly into AI Gateway. So I think Vercel's done a lot of cool stuff for the AI part, which this is just going to help really bring out and understand how it's working. That's about it. One cool thing I'd like to see is also the cost breakdown. So basically, to be able to see exactly what your costs are going to, how you're using the platform, and just see it all in one place. And that's about it.
Amazing. That was a fantastic demo. Again, we've got around like 160 people watching right now, and a lot of chatter in the chat saying that they love this, and it looks all really great. We have some time for questions, so this is just a reminder to everyone watching: if you have a question, drop it in the chat, and we will get it. I will ask the first question that I saw in the chat. Sorry, I'm still scrolling. Yeah. I'm still scrolling to try and find the question.
All good.
So the question is there an MCP server that one could use inside of VS Code, Cursor, etc., as an example to help implement the preferred outcome of A/B testing? Is that related to Databuddy?
Yeah. So I think MCP servers essentially are just like an endpoint where you directly connect to a platform. So can you rephrase or just say the last part of it where it uses feature flags, and then I can give the full answer.
Yes. So, as an example to help implement the preferred outcome of A/B testing.
Okay. Yeah. So we don't have A/B testing yet, but we have feature flags, which is a primitive of A/B testing, and that's the next thing that we're adding. So there is going to be an MCP server, and it's going to be a lot more than just A/B preferred testing. So there's at least one thing that I can tell you, that you wouldn't even need to use an MCP to add a preferred version of things, because when you add an A/B test in Databuddy, it's basically going to automatically roll it out to whichever variant is experiencing increased conversion rates, for example. So if one variant is winning, it would automatically switch more traffic to that. I mean, if you configure it to be so. So yeah, there is going to be an MCP server for a lot of things. It's going to directly integrate with Databuddy. is gonna be able to tell you, which of your pages are the slowest, which of your pages will, need optimization or need anything, and then Cursor can help you fix that. So yeah, there will be an MCP server, and it'll absolutely be able to do that.
Great, thank you.
We've got a question from Nick here. He says, would we be able to use Databuddy for not our own analytics, but as a platform to provide analytics for end users? Is that something that would be on the roadmap or something that's currently capable?
For end users. So is this like and what is the use case exactly? I mean, to provide insights for end users.
I'm imagining in a sort of platform option. So if you have users who are building their own things with the application, would you be able to then use Databuddy to drop insights and then serve those
Yeah, definitely.
to your
Yeah,
users?
you'd be able to create basically anything you need, and then you can sort by, let's say each user has a unique ID, then you can sort by that ID and then just give the insights based on that specific page.
Great. So we have a couple of questions that we've also prepared. This was great, by the way. Honestly, super insightful. I don't even know where to begin because there's so many directions we could take this. I guess we'll start because this is a Vercel community session. What is your overall tech stack, and why did you choose it exactly? Feel free to mention Vercel, by the way.
Oh yeah, I definitely was going to before. So we do use Vercel. Yeah, we use Next.js. It's very cool. So the tech stack that we've chosen is we use ClickHouse, Elijah.js for the API. We use Next.js. We deploy on Vercel because it makes it so damn easy. We also use Postgres. We use Neon and Upstash for our rate limiting and caching. So that is the very basic of the tech stack. I'm not sure if there's anything. We also use Autumn pricing for the billing. Makes it absolutely incredibly easy to just add pricing. Absolutely love it. So that's the very basics of our tech stack.
You also mentioned the AI SDK. Do you want to share more about that? Yeah.
It's incredible. So before I knew AI SDK existed, I had our agent file. It was around 12 files and I would say over a few thousand lines of code. And with the AI SDK, it basically turned it into 7 lines of code. I think I tweeted about this as well. 7 lines of code is all I needed. I could just define the tools. I could define how many steps it takes, what it does, and then it performed even better than the agent we had. So AI SDK has been an absolute delight to use. Absolute great work by the AI SDK team. Shout out Josh.
Specifically just Josh.
Specifically Josh, yeah. He's probably not watching it, but
we'll send it to him.
Sweet.
Yeah. How much of Databuddy is open source?
All of it. Every part of it. It's fully open source. Maybe I forgot to mention that, but even the schemas and everything are fully open source.
Oh, what made you choose to make it open source? Aren't you worried about, say, competitors or someone just cloning the product?
So that was a worry, and that's why I chose AGPL as the license, not MIT. But I mean, honestly, if somebody wants to clone it, they can. It's not like it's super difficult to at this point, especially with AI and also PostHog, and so many of these other analytics tools are already open source. So if people want to clone it and use it for free, that's not an issue for me. It's also going to be self-hostable in the future, so that's one point. The only reason they would have to pay for Databuddy is just the convenience of not having to manage it. As someone who's currently managing self-hosting ClickHouse, absolute pain to self-host. So you're basically paying to not have to deal with that. So maybe I was scared at the first of open sourcing it, but definitely not, once I actually got into it. And there's been a lot more support once it's been open sourced. So I would say open source is the way to go.
What kind of support have you been getting? Like you're talking community contributions and issues, and are people jumping in and fixing things for you?
Yeah, so there's been quite a few contributors, people who just look in the code, fix a few things. Like just yesterday, somebody was DMing me asking to help and then fixing a few things. So I think one thing I can say about having contributors, especially once you have core contributors, I'm a solo founder currently, so I feel very guilty when I'm not actively working on the project because I just feel like nothing is going anywhere. But it just removes that guilt when hey, people care about this project, they're starring it, they're making PRs, they're contributing to the project when I'm not, when I'm busy with other things. So there's been a lot of support, and also on Twitter. So I mainly post about it on Twitter, and a lot of people have been very supportive about it.
We have another question here. So, how do you find what to focus on when you're the only founder doing everything? I love these founder
That's a
questions.
really good question. Yeah. How do I? So I'm not sure I can answer this question because I actually don't know myself. I just focus on whatever I deem is the most important at that point.
Story of my life.
Yeah. So I've been focusing a lot more on the product just because I already shitpost a lot on Twitter. So that's basically my marketing and sales. So the product is open source and it sells itself, which basically means I don't really need to focus as much on, micromanaging everything. Like open source opens a lot of doors in terms of marketing. So I kind of just put it out there. I just post about it and I work on it consistently. And that's also like my source of content, for example, my source of networking, like basically everything. Like I do cold outreach is about Databuddy. I do a lot of tweets about Databuddy, and it all in the end benefits Databuddy. And I just, filter out anything that doesn't work. Like for example, using Databuddy, I figured out which, social media platforms I was posting on that didn't work. Based on the conversion rate. So I just tossed those and just kept working on what did work.
A follow-up question: which platforms were they?
Twitter. That's all I'll say for now.
So that's the
Twitter,
only one that works, you said?
it's not the only one that works, but it's the one that works the best for the least amount of effort. Because for Reddit and things like that, especially like for the kind of person I am, the posts that I make, Reddit would be a lot more effort to create like a lot of insightful posts and comment on a lot of different people's posts and things like that. Twitter, you can just post anything and then people will stumble on your profile, say, hey, he's making this platform. That's cool. Let me check it out. And then potentially they become a customer. So it's a lot easier on Twitter because it's more like a community rather than just ask a question and then you have to answer and keep up with that.
Awesome.
From a technical point of view, like how are you delivering the analytics? Do you use cookies, fingerprinting? How do you make this work from a privacy standpoint?
So the only thing we do use is local storage and unique IDs. And like I mentioned before in the how it works slide, we essentially anonymize the user's ID. So every 24 hours, even if a user had the same ID, it would look like a completely different user. We don't use any kind of fingerprinting or cookies at all. And we also don't use IPs. Once we get the region and the country, then we get rid of the IP. So that's how we preserve the user's identity.
Awesome. So the other question that we have here, how do you balance the trade-off between data richness for insight versus data minimalism for privacy?
So one thing I can say about this is the reason that a lot of platforms are very either cheap or free, like Google Analytics. It's not that they focus on data richness by collecting more data. It's how they afford to be free. They get a lot of data, but they don't really need to. Like with cookies, you track users across different websites. And they basically sell that data to advertisers and marketing and everything like that. With Databuddy, we don't really need to care about that and where the user goes after they leave your website. We just focus on what they do on your website. And for that, you basically don't really need to do cookies or any kind of user identification to do that. Maybe for some platforms, but you don't really need to collect too much data. That's how we've been able to achieve the data richness that we need. There's obviously always going to be a few things that are missing, like we're not going to be able to give the full answer, but that's something we're looking into with identified or authenticated users where they've agreed to the terms of service. So it would still be under the data privacy laws. So it's something we're looking into, but the case in point here is you don't really need too much data to give the full answer.
Nice. A follow-up question to that, kind of related, that came in from Twitter/X. What is the biggest benefit to using Databuddy versus GA4?
So the biggest, I can tell you based on a paying customer of mine that has migrated from Google Analytics 4, it's been a lot easier to get the answers he needs. It's a lot more of a easy to use dashboard. So instead of spending a lot of time in Google Analytics 4 and then, you have to add the cookie consent banner, otherwise you can get fined by GDPR, especially if you serve to EU customers. Essentially, you drop a lot of the complexity it's not free like Google Analytics 4 unless you use the GA360, which I believe is very expensive for a lot of people. But you drop a lot of the complexity, you make it a lot easier on yourself to just add things. It also has more features in some categories, like we have the feature flags now. So essentially, you just get a way easier time actually understanding your data instead of just collecting a lot more data.
I hope that answered. Sorry, I was just going to say, Chris, I hope that answered your question. Thank you for asking.
How do you see these privacy laws changing over time, like analytics regulation, cookie consent, and so on? Do you see them as getting worse and more restrictive over time, or do you think they'll go in the other direction?
Yeah, definitely. I think they're going to be a lot more restrictive in the future, which is also why, like in a lot of parts of Europe currently, Google Analytics is actually banned, so you can't use it without it being against the law. So that's going to get worse and worse, just because analytics platforms, they collect more and more data, and then the EU and other countries now are following suit with the EU. So it's not just going to be the European market where you're completely shut out if you use Google Analytics. It's going to be most of the world, I would say, in the next few years.
From the chat, non-technical, but how did you come up with the name Databuddy and Data Bunny?
Right. So funny question. So when I started making Databuddy, it was not called Databuddy. I was looking into acquiring a domain called Pertinent. I completely forgot what it actually means, but it just it, it was something related to data and like bringing up the most useful data. And I realized I couldn't buy that domain; it was too expensive. So I was just looking into cool names, and Databuddy. Thinking about data, buddy, it helps you understand your data a lot easier. So that's where it came from. And Data Bunny was actually a complete mistake, I would say. Like it just came out of nowhere. I was doing what Bun does. If you see their marketing on Twitter, they post a lot of AI pictures of their mascot, and I copied their mascot and I said, hey, turn it into a bunny. And I posted that with the update or changelog of DataBuddy, and somebody commented that and I was like, hey, sounds like a great name for our mascot. And then I changed it because before then it was called Nova, and then it was called Data Bunny. Now it has a cute mascot.
Every successful tech company has a cute mascot. Ours is just a triangle, but still, it's pretty nice.
Yeah, cute triangle. Maybe you can make
yeah,
it.
we could do anything with this triangle.
Yeah, Data Bunny is a much better name than Nova, I think, for the assistant.
Agreed.
That was a good call.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you
personality?
Yeah. Do you plan on having a Vercel integration built in?
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. We already have one. It's actually, I applied it to the Vercel marketplace recently, and it's not full featured yet, but essentially it's just gonna be one click to integrate, and then it automatically integrates your Vercel products, your environment. It adds the environment variable to your project, so you only need to drop in the script, and then you would never need to worry about anything like the environment changing, the domain changing. It would be fully in sync. The only thing you have to worry about is just looking at your dashboard and tweaking your settings, and that's about it.
Amazing. Thank you. We've got 300 people tuning in right now, which is great for this community session. Thank you so much. If anyone has any more questions, now is the time. I guess I will ask another question. So you did mention that Databuddy is open source. How can people contribute? And how many contributors do you have already?
Okay, so I've got around 3 contributors who are a little bit on the more active side. So I'd say Databuddy is not the easiest platform to contribute to, just because of the requirements to get into it and also the understanding. So to contribute is very easy. You go to github.com/databuddy-analytics/databuddy, and then you can just fork it, get that set up. The README is very up to date, so you just have to follow the README, and it's easy to set up. The biggest complexity so far has been ClickHouse, and it uses a lot of resources for users. So they're either limited to just working on the dashboard without the analytics part, or having to set that up and then seeding it, setting everything up. So that has been like the hardest part for contributors. But otherwise, if that's set up, it's very easy to contribute.
What's on your roadmap for the next, say, 6 months? What do you have coming up next in the Databuddy product?
That's a really good question. In the roadmap, so we've already dropped feature flags, but it's currently in alpha. So on the roadmap is to get that fully featured and out. And then since it's a primitive of A/B analytics, we're gonna also drop A/B testing, and then we've got the LLM analytics as well. So there's 3 different things that we're gonna be dropping in the very near future. So I think it might be even less than 6 months until all of those are fully out, but that's the next 3 steps.
Oh,
I
you
guess
ship fast.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, I guess you ship faster when you have a small team, or just you.
Or just me, yeah.
And some contributors in the community.
Yeah,
Amazing. Well,
this has been great, yeah.
yeah. Amazing. Well, we don't have any more questions in the chat, but do you have anything else you want to share before we close off?
The only thing I can say is just don't be afraid to DM me. I'm open to any questions, or if you need to book a meeting as well, I hope you scan that QR code. I'll probably post it after the stream as well. Just go to my Twitter and you'll be able to see that. So just don't be afraid to reach out. Happy to talk to anybody who's interested in learning more about Databuddy.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Isa. Thank you.
Yep, I really appreciate your time. Thank you, Pauline and Jacob. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks. Jacob, that was fun.
That was really good. That was really good.
I always love these sessions the most, though, when we're talking to community members, because I feel like I learn so much about what people are building, especially using the Versal ecosystem products. It's so inspiring. I need to get out there and build more.
And as it seems like all my years of putting up with Google Analytics dashboards are finally coming to an end here.
There's so many great solutions out there. Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for this week's live session. It's been great to engage with you in the chat. I say this every week, but I feel like the chat gets better and better. And then this one was really on fire. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining. A couple of just like FYIs, next week for the live session, we have another weekly open source stories with Cap and our open source program members. So definitely tune in to that. And also next month, we have 2 big conferences, our Next.js Conf and Ship AI Conf that's happening in San Francisco. We also have a Next.js Conf watch party in London. So loads of things are happening in the community and at Versal the next couple of weeks. So definitely tune into that. Is there anything I missed there, Jacob?
No, I think we've got it all covered here.
Okay, awesome. Well, awesome. Well, I will say, since we're still live and still have 350 people tuning in, I have a couple of Next.js Conf community tickets. So if anyone is in the San Francisco area during October 22nd, definitely send me a DM and I can get you a ticket. Awesome. If there's nothing else, thank you again, everyone, and we'll see you here next week.
All right. Have a great day, everyone.